My name is George Jubelhart. I'm a livestock nutrition consultant and owner of Heartland Feeds. This is Whitney Galloway, one of our agronomy consultants here at Heartland Feeds, and want to welcome you to a little video series that we're going to do this season. We rented some land here from the town of Ponoka, just on the city limits beside the cemetery and across the road from the A&W. So what we're planning on doing is doing some variety development with some plots and looking at some different management practices for growing corn in Central Alberta here. So this season we're doing things a little different, maybe going against some things we've done in the past, but this ground in 2024 was a canola crop. We don't recommend growing corn after canola, but because of the nature of this property, we're taking a bit of a risk and did some different things as far as fertilizer to help compensate for that. So it would have been Monday, April 28th. We planted this crop. We seeded at 34,000 plants per acre. We've seen some variance in soil temperatures on Saturday. We were up to about 10.8 in the soil. The afternoon of seeding, we were dropped down to about 8 degrees. Sunday, there was a bit of a shower that came through here and cooled the soil off. But something that we decided to get in the ground a little bit earlier, looking at the forecasts and soil conditions, we found that was favorable to move forward. And also it gives us an opportunity to get out in the field and help support our clients and focus on different things in the season here. So throughout the season, we'll be doing multiple things as far as tasseling notes, watching new product and variety development, and kind of exciting for us to have a piece of ground real close to the office where we can work directly with and manage and learn some different things and look towards different varieties and management practices to help our clients.
Okay, George, can you please explain why you made the decision to plant corn in April in Central Alberta?
So one of the biggest reasons we looked at was soil conditions. So this ground is a little bit on the lighter side of things. Looking towards the forecast, we're going to be planting into a warming trend. So we have 2 cooler days here at the beginning of the week. But looking forward, we're going to be getting close to the 30s by the weekend here. So we wanted to seed into that warming trend just to allow the soil to warm up. Traditionally, it's one of those things, just talking with producers, there's a lot of different moving parts going on with farms as far as manure application and field work, etc. For us, the window worked well. We got our custom farming operation that we work with to come in on Friday, work the soil. It definitely warmed up soil temperatures over the weekend, and then we were able to seed on the Monday afternoon. So it's one of those things. It's not a mad dash to get in the ground if you're not checking all those boxes as far as soil temperature forecast, etc. But just looking at the window that we had here, we use synthetic fertilizer, so we're not doing any manure application on this field this season. So it really just kind of lined up in our favor here. And like I said, soil conditions, moisture, and the forecast that we're kind of planting into was the primary reasons why we decided to go when we did.
So you mentioned that it was a sandier soil. I know you decided to high-speed disc this field twice before we came in here with the planter. Do you want to explain why?
So traditionally, something that I wouldn't recommend, just you go through with a second pass, you're disturbing the ground, you're losing some moisture that way. But looking at the field after the first pass, I was a little concerned about the granular fertilizer coverage in the soil and also some of the residue that I seen from the canola stubble from last year. So what I did was I discussed this with the operator. He made a pass. We assessed it again and liked what we seen, so we made that second pass at that point. So after acquiring this ground here, obviously we had some concerns with the previous year crop, which is canola. We pulled soil samples here in January, sent them away, kind of assessed where the soil was at. I guess, Whitney, can you explain what our concept and theory behind fertility on this crop is this year?
So, looking at the soil test, it was quite low in nitrogen. We were actually pleasantly surprised with the PKNS and micronutrients in the on the soil test. But being that it was low in nitrogen, corn is a really high nitrogen user. So, a total blend, we applied about 460 pounds of product between NPK and S. Being that it is corn after canola, canola tends to tie up phosphorus availability early on in the season. So we put down granular phosphorus as well as we're trying to mitigate that with some Alpine G22 in furrow. And if necessary, we will apply that in crop when we're doing our herbicide pass as well.
So it might sound like a pretty high rate of fertilizer, but the reality of it is this is ground that's been rented for a long period of time, I would say. That, yeah, I don't want to say questionable for fertility, but I guess people aren't investing a lot in fertility on ground that's rented. Another thing, too, that might sound like a pile of fertilizer to our dairy and beef producers that have a lot of access and traditionally put down a lot of manure, but it is a little bit of a different situation here with this piece of ground.
Yeah, and with that 460 pounds, we're targeting about 18 or 19 ton, pending that we get the moisture.
What percentage of our urea is ESN?
We used a 40% ESN in the blend.
Part of this field and the long-term vision for it, as I mentioned, is to try out some different varieties and look at some different management practices just to learn from, and also teach our producers different things that we've experienced here in different situations, and look at new varieties from Maizex just to help develop and make sure that we're doing responsible things, bringing new varieties to the market. So I guess this season we're doing some different things as far as varieties and some fertility. And Whitney, can you maybe explain what we're looking at doing here this year?
So, although the entire field will be silaged, we do have 4 very silage specific varieties planted, as well as 4 varieties that have longer heat units and are more designed for grazing corn. A few of them we do have in silage situations, but it's further out east where they have a little bit higher heat units than we get here in Ponoka or Lacombe. We also have a foliar fertilizer trial going on. So the entire plot, like I mentioned earlier, is treated in G22, but we are going to have an Alpine G22 check strip, so no fertilizer is applied at all, and an Alpine pack, which has K19S, G22, as well as a zinc product. So we're going to look at differences in emergence, vigor, tasseling dates throughout the season, and hopefully get some yield information and quality information on that as well when we get into harvest.
Absolutely. And just if we didn't mention it before, we seeded at 2¼ inches, and our population's at 34,000, which is traditionally a bit higher population that we see in the area. But like I said, we're trying to do some different things here. There's producers around the countryside that are bumping up their population this year just due to double cobs that we've seen and potentially some yield potential. So playing around with some different things in the field here. Our goal is to do this little video once a month and kind of report back. Currently we'll be moving forward just delivering the rest of our seed and going out to the fields, doing temperatures and doing planter evaluations and helping our producers. But if there's any questions, please feel free to give Whitney, myself, Dawn, Nessa, or anybody at the office a call. And yeah, we're looking forward to this upcoming season and what we can learn.